Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So today is just a quick sort of midweek video. Just wanted to share a painting that I did a couple of days ago. And also it gives me a chance to just briefly mention a little bit about minimalism and how it influences the type of painting that I'm doing. So I am a big believer in sort of learning from the past, and you know, art is full of all of these isms, impressionism and expressionism and abstract expressionism and so on and so on. And I've talked before about impressionism and how I love impressionism and how that sort of influenced the paintings that I do. But it's not the only influence, and there's other things that I haven't really mentioned before, and that one of those is minimalism. So the idea of minimalism, if you're not familiar with it, I've linked a couple of videos in the description box below. They're not my videos, but they go into more depth about what is minimalism. And they're reasonably approachable videos, especially the first one. But there's a few things from the ideas of minimalism that I try to incorporate into my paintings. And one of them is just the overall aesthetic, the idea that less is more. One of the ideas that interests me is, what is the least that I can do to a piece of paper to turn it into a landscape painting? So the least amount of marks, the least amount of paint that I can put on to turn that blank piece of paper into a landscape painting. It's something that interests me. Some of the other things that I try to incorporate are simple compositions. So all of these paintings, or many of these, are just, I put in a horizon line, and everything above that sort of suggests a sky, and everything below it sort of suggests a landscape. And this is about the most basic, simple composition that you can have for a landscape painting. By keeping the composition very simple, it's one less thing to worry about, one less complication. Painting is quite tricky, and it's tricky to get results that you're happy with sometimes. So if you can make it easier for yourself by, for example, limiting things like composition, it can be useful, it can be helpful, I think. One other thing that I have mentioned many times before is also limited palettes. So keeping the number of colors to a minimum. Again, I've listed the colors that I use for this painting in the description below. There's only about 4 or 5 colors. But again, that limitation is also beneficial because it makes the choices easier. It makes the painting process a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about which colors to choose because you've only really got a handful of colors to use. There's other benefits as well that I've mentioned in the past about using limited palettes, including, of course, an economic advantage. If you don't use as many colors, it's not as expensive. A lot of, well, I say a lot, some YouTube artists also, while they're showing you the painting, they also show you the palette that they use and mixing the colors and things on the palette. So they have a camera pointing at their palette. It's not something that I do, not because I'm trying to keep some secret from you. It's just, although I have a plastic palette, the only thing I use it for is squeezing a little bit of the paint from the tube onto the palette so that I can then pick it up with the brush. I don't actually do any color mixing on the palette. All the color mixing happens really on the paper. This is the final painting. I think definitely minimalist, trying to keep everything simple. I was happy with the painting. I enjoyed the process. If you stuck with the video, thank you, and hopefully see you in the next one.